Hi friends, welcome to Wafa Studies YouTube channel. This is part 29 in Azure Synapse Analytics playlist. In this video, I am going to discuss about how to create a notebook in Azure Synapse Analytics, and also we are going to kind of develop a data frame, and on the data frame we will try to execute some Spark SQL queries as well. So this session is going to be purely a practical kind of thing. If you haven't watched my previous video where I explained how to create a Spark pool, please watch that and then watch this video. Why? Because in this video we are going to utilize a Spark pool to run our notebook. So if you go to Azure Synapse Analytics workspace, and if you go to Management Hub under Apache Spark Pools, you see I have already created one pool here called Spark Pool 1. Okay, so please create this pool first and then try to practice whatever I am doing in this video. So in this video we are going to create a notebook. So let's go to Development tab, and here let's try to create a new notebook, and this is notebook 1. So whenever you want to run any notebook, then you should attach that notebook with a Spark pool with which you want to actually run this. Similar to Databricks. In Databricks, all your Scala or PySpark code, whatever you write inside the notebook, you will be attaching that notebook with a cluster to run it, right? Spark cluster. So similarly, here Spark pool is nothing but like a Spark cluster only. Okay. So in this notebook, you can write all your Scala code or PySpark code. Since it is Synapse, even .NET also has some set of libraries for the Spark. So you can run in different types of languages to query your big data or to process your big data. So in this demo, what we are going to do, we are going to utilize PySpark, and also observe this, under this language field we selected PySpark as a default language. That means whatever the language I am going to write inside this notebook, that is going to be considered as a PySpark. So if you want to switch from one language to another language while you are developing your notebook, you can very easily do that using the magic commands. So for example, percentage SQL, that means whatever I write under this percentage SQL, it is going to be SQL syntax. So notebook supports multi-languaging. You already know this, right? So if you don't know also, don't worry. In our upcoming videos, we will be knowing that, because we will be doing more practicals as well. So now here, since I have selected PySpark as a language, that is fine, because I am going to use PySpark only. So what I want to do is, I want to develop a simple data frame first. So data frame is nothing but like think like one imaginary table on top of your data. Okay, so within the memory, one table will be created on top of your data, and you can start doing your transformations on top of that data frame according to your need. You can perform filters, you can perform joins, you can perform unions on the data frames. Anything it can be possible. So I am not going to hit any particular storage to get the data into data frame first. So let me build my own data here. So if it is C#, actually if you want to declare any variable, you will be doing like this, right? Int I equals to 1, like that. That means for the variable, you are first declaring what type it is and then assigning a similar type of value. But in Python, if you know, if I say I equals to 1, that's enough. So since 1 is going to be integer, so automatically this I variable is going to be integer type. So you no need to explicitly define type of your variable. The moment you assign any value to your variable, automatically that value will go and store inside your variable. So this is, you know, in the Python, right? So if you don't know, you should have minimum basic level of Python. So if you don't know also, please follow these steps slowly, right? Over the videos you will get Python also, like how to use with the context of Spark. Okay, so now here what I am going to do, I am going to declare a variable called new rows, and here I am going to use a list here to assign it. So anything if you use inside this angular brackets like this, right? So this is nothing but like a list actually in the Python. Okay, so now what I am going to do here, inside the list I am going to use a tuple. So tuple, list, all these are like a collection data. So when you want to take the data multiple values into a single variable, then you should use this tuples and lists. I am not going in details of these things, you can Google that, but for now assume that this is like a rows. For example, my first row I want to be like this, for example. So let's assume this is like an employee, like Mahir, and then gender is male maybe. Okay, and then salary is maybe like 1000. So this is my first row. So this entire thing is one tuple. So that means this is one value. Okay, then since this is a list, right? So I can pass multiple values like that. So again I am going to pass second row, let's assume like that. Okay, so this is like Wafa. Okay, gender is male, and his salary is 2000, let's assume. So I created a variable which is list type, which holds two tuple values. Okay, I am going to make sure to save these things as a rows in the data frame. I will show you that in a bit. Now once you have ready with your new rows, as a list inside this variable, then what you can do in the Synapse, right? You can use this Spark object. On top of the Spark object, you will find lot of functions to create it. So in this case, I want to create a data frame, right? So the moment I type dot create, right, it is giving me intelligence. So and if I hit this, right, it will give me the full name as well. And also see here, if you see the intelligence, it is giving me the hint what kind of arguments I should pass into this function. But personally, what I feel, if it is a C#, right, there is a when I do development in the Visual Studio and all, this intelligence is more readable. You can easily understand without knowing the documentation of the function, like what type of arguments I should pass and everything. But here, this intelligence is not that readable, at least for me. So if you are already familiar with the PySpark, you no need to research every time whenever you are using any function. But if you are new guy like me, so what I used to do is I want to understand what is this function and what kind of values I can pass as arguments into this function, right? So for that, what I do, I will just copy the function name and let me open a new tab here, and here I will simply search like that. So create data frame in PySpark like that, right? If I search, right, it is going to directly take me to the documentation of that particular function, and here I can clearly see, okay, this function will expect all these parameters, data, schema, all these, and in these parameters some may be optional like this, for example, and this data parameter is going to be like what kind of data it will take. So data parameter will accept tuple or list or pandas data frame. So all these kind of things you can pass for the data parameter, and for the schema parameter again you can pass list or string. So by seeing this, I will come to know, okay, so I will very easily come to know that, okay, so when there is like, let me open the syntax, I mean the intelligence first. So if there is a data, that means here I can pass my list. So this list, right, Neuros is actually list only, right? So let me pass my list as a data here. Then second parameter is schema. Schema is optional. If you want to have your column names, then you can pass, and as we have seen here, schema can be list, right? So what I do, I will pass my schema also as a list. So that means the headers. So what I will do, so first column is like name. So list means angular brackets, right? So that's why I'm using angular brackets. Then second column is gender, okay. Then third column is salary, okay. So now after using this, see, this is data, this is schema. By seeing the intelligence and also by seeing the documentation of that particular functions, I came to know. So this entire spark.create data frame object is going to create a data frame. So let me save this entire data frame into one data frame, maybe like demo_df. This is my data frame name, let's assume, okay. And now once this is done, I can simply do this, my data frame dot, there is a function called show. So this is going to show me the entire data whatever I have inside my data frame. So my data frame is going to contain a headers like this, and it is going to contain two rows, Mahir and Wafa. Let's practically see that by running this cell. So I have hit this run cell. Now what is happening now? It is going to start a Spark pool for me, and this is first time, right? So that's why it will take some time. It will take 2 to 5 minutes depending upon your nodes, and within 5 minutes you will see your cluster or your pool is running, and then it will start executing your cell as well and show the results as well. Let's wait for the session to start here. Great, you can see our Spark session is ready actually here. Now Spark session is running. It is going to show our results as well in couple of seconds below. See, job execution started, which is currently in progress. And if you see now, our data frame has a columns and also two rows. So these two rows we actually build as a list first into this variable, and we passed that entire list into create data frame function, and also we passed another list to define our column names, okay. So this is how you do that. So now our data frame is created, right? Now let's create another cell here. Now maybe let's try to save this data frame as a temporary table, okay. So when you use, there is something called create or replace temp view, right? What this will do within the session, so all this is running within the Spark session. The moment you close session or the moment you stop the session by hitting this stop session, right, then everything whatever you store in the data frame or in the memory, it will be lost, okay. So now what I am doing, I created a data frame, and on top of that, by using this data frame, I want to create one temporary table like how you create in SQL. So now maybe I want to give my name of my temporary table, like maybe like demo temp table, okay. So now let me hit this run cell once again, and let's see whether it will create or not. See, it created a temp table. Now how we can make sure whether temp table is created or not. Let me switch to SQL mode here, I mean SQL, by using a SQL magic command. So there is something called show tables command within the SQL, which you can use to see all the tables. Okay, so now let me hit this run cell method to see whether this temp table is available in my session or not. Okay, so it will be available within the session only. Remember that it won't be available for any another guy who is simultaneously running the notebook. So it is only within your session. See, it has a temporary table, right? Now what I will do, see, since I used this percentage SQL syntax, that means now I can use my Spark SQL, that means my SQL syntax, to interact with the data. So what I will do, maybe I will try to execute this select command on top of my table, that is temp table. Select star from, then my temp table name is demo temp table, right? So let me execute this entire cells now and see whether we are able to see the data or not. Okay, we got one error. Okay, I got it. So why this error is, I think I should remove this command. I just only want to select star from table name, right? So now let me execute this. It should give me the data from my temporary table, right? See, that means I am in a way communicating with my Spark using SQL, right? SQL syntax is helping me to communicate with the data also using in the Spark. Okay, so I no need to be dependent on the Scala or Python. So even I can use SQL as well to communicate with the Spark, right? So this is how it is. So, and also you may be knowing that, right? So for example, if you want to save this data frame, this demo data frame, right, as a here I saved it as a temporary table, right? So for example, if you want to save it into one CSV file or note or a Parquet file, then what you can do, this right on top of right there is something called CSV. So this CSV function is going to help you to store this data frame into any specific location. For example, if you give a full path where you want to store, it is going to store there. So let's assume, and also you need to mention the mode, in which mode. Again, like how I know what is the path, what type of values I should pass into the path variable, and what is this mode equals to none, or what kind of values I can pass into this mode equal to, and everything. If you don't know, as I said before, very easy. So do one thing, go to your browser and simply perform, like for example, see dataframe.write.csv, like this. If you search it, it is going to take you to the documentation, and from the documentation you will come to know. See here, so this is how it is, right? And if you scroll down somewhere, you will be seeing the syntax as well, like what you need to pass and everything. So it is very easy. Always try to look, I'm not going details of this documentation. You always try to have a habit of going to the documentation and understand what needs to be passed and everything. Okay, so but over the time, right, once you are familiar with the concepts and everything, you will be getting it. So here I can pass like override my file if it is already existing, and where I want to place this file, right? So let me take one location. Let me go to this data, and here let me go to linked. I have a data lake storage gen 2 which is connected with my data lake with my Synapse workspace, and inside this let me go to some path and let me take the path from the properties. So Synapse demo is a container which is connected with my workspace. Under Synapse demo container, let me try to take one folder, maybe data folder, right? Maybe I want to load the entire data into this data folder as a CSV file. So maybe I can go to properties, and from the properties I can take this entire path. Okay, and then let me close this. Let me go to notebook and let me paste this here. Let me remove this. So under data folder, I want to create the CSV files. Okay, let me hit this run button now. Cell 1 I am running now. Now I should see, okay, so there is some error, it looks. One second. Okay, sorry, it is overwrite, not overwrite. Let me copy this flag, overwrite, and now let me hit this run cell once again. It should create CSV files with the data whatever I generated this data frame. So whatever the data you have inside the data frame, with that data it will create a CSV files. Now if I go to Synapse demo here, and now if I refresh this folder, data folder, it should create part files. If you see here, it created part files, and also it cleared all the old data from that file, from that folder. So previously data folder has some other files, it removed that, and then for your data it created multiple files. So why this will happen is, Spark actually try to take your data into multiple partitions, and it will try to process the data, and each partition will get saved as a separate file. If you don't want this kind of nature, then you can do something else as well, that we will discuss in our upcoming videos. But This video is up to here only to know how to create a notebook and how to work with the simple commands, or how to run with a Spark SQL in the notebooks. I hope you enjoyed this video. Thank you for watching this video. Please subscribe to my channel and press the bell icon to get the notification.